So, just a couple of days ago, I did a podcast exploring evil and wickedness, and I really enjoyed doing that particular podcast because I was able to expunge a couple of demons out of my mind, and I was feeling good about myself until last night, where myself, my two daughters, and their friends, we all sat down to a three-film showing of the insidious kind. Yes, a horror flick, and I couldn't help but feel the heckles, the, the shivers running down my back, and the thoughts again about evil and spiritual evil, particularly the stealing of my soul. If the military could find a weapon that can steal a soldier's soul, I'm a goner. So, so while watching the movie V's, I couldn't help but notice the striking similarities between the evil, the demons, and the evil in my previous podcast. And so, where do I start? I suppose, if anywhere, I have to start with the victims in the films. There are young people, innocent, meek, full of energy, and then through no fault of their own or unintentionally, they reach out to the wrong place and they get the attention of a particularly nasty demon. And for the rest of the movie, we watch their lives slowly being degraded and falling apart to the point where they almost terminate their own lives. Um, from the demon side of view, what were they doing? What were they doing that in the first place? The situation being, you have heaven, you have hell, you've got the real world, and the demon resides in the place in between, the ether in between. And the whole purpose of the demon is to maintain his position in the in between, because if he loses power, he's going straight to hell. And so he's always fighting to get into the real world, or at least maintain his position in the domain. And the only way he can do that is by latching onto the soul of a young, innocent person, a vibrant soul, and he slowly drains the vibrancy and the high spirit of that soul until it's completely gone. And then he takes their soul and they reside with him in that domain in between. He's never able going to go to hell, and they're never able to go to heaven. And so he continues with his wicked way. Also in the movie, we see the poor parents as they realize that there's something wrong with their child. They haven't a clue what's wrong with them, and throughout the movie, they're all constantly fighting to keep the situation as stable as possible, only for them to later on realize that their lives are slowly being destroyed, and they too are becoming victims. And then we see the spiritual warrior. It's fascinating to see that they don't seem that there was no particular religion in it. The spiritual warrior happens to be a clairvoyant, and she herself has her own demons to battle. And throughout the movies, she's constantly battling her own demons. Never mind the demons that are infecting the victims. So, what did I get from all that? The similarities between evil, real evil, and demonic evil is such that once you start fighting them, you can't really, it's 50. If you go toe to toe with them, that's it. It's 50-50. You don't know whether you're going to win or lose. And the problem is even if you beat that particular demon, there's only going to be another one taking his place later on. And eventually, in the movie, the spiritual warrior, she herself dies from a particularly nasty demon. So what I got from that before her demise was the fact that she realizes when she's at her lowest, another clairvoyant points out to her that she will always be able to beat the demons because she has living force. And she's alive and they're not. And where they're trying to fight to stay in the same position, she has that extra power, that life power. So I suppose it means that you have to really, really believe in yourself. And when you think about believing in yourself, You think about things like courage, loyalty, honesty, truthfulness, respect, chivalry, honor, all those invisible barriers we all have to fight every day to maintain and promote. And that's how we actually, that's where we get our strengths from. Furthermore, in the movies, she herself has a couple of partners, people she can depend on to support her throughout it. And I suppose that gives you the message that it's important to have a support group. It's important to be able to, firstly, tell everybody if you're failing that you can reach out to somebody for support. And there's plenty of people out there who know just as I, who might have a different perspective on it, but they'll be able to help you nonetheless. And I suppose in the end, like if you're fighting depression, like you don't, the worst thing you can do is try to fight it alone. You have to reach out to people in the real world, not in the spiritual realm, whatever. Um, so that's what I got from it. I hope by following values like courage, honesty, loyalty, even meek and innocence. Like as a soldier or a guard or working in the emergency services, like you can still maintain and preserve those characteristics, because at the end of the day, um, when you go into service, you have to be mindful of the fact that at some point you will be coming out of the service. And if you come out of the service with a grudge or regret or some stain on your soul, it'll last, it'll take a very long time to get over it. That's what PTSD is. So by um, well, during your service, that you actually practice and work on those loyalty, those different characteristics, working on supporting the institution that you're trying to keep together. Um, you can come out of your service then with a clear slate, a clear state of mind, and even during your service, you're able to have clarity of vision. And of course, one thing about the demons, they like to make you feel that you're small and that you're irrelevant and that you're not good enough. And those demons, like by disciplining yourself, by following your values and working on yourself all the time, you manage to maintain integrity. And at the end of the day, that's what defeats the demons. It's everybody's right to be meek, innocent, and humble, and to be able to feel free as well. Um, it's something that you have to practice every day, and by feeling free, you have your spirits are high. If your spirits are feeling low, then you're either taking on too much or you're being pushed around a bit. And in those situations, um, it's important for your own integrity to be able to share those issues with somebody who can help you. And there's plenty of supports out there. Furthermore, on the demon side of things, um, in the movies, there was always an underlying throughout the movie, like the demon is disgusting, horrible looking creature. But when they do the background checks and they discover the fact that it was a tormented soul at the end of the day, and even to vanquish that demon, yeah, he deserves to go to hell and all that. But it just goes to the fact that it's a circle of pain and regret that spans many, many generations. And how we reconcile ourselves with the truth of our past and how we were treated in our past. Um, it's that's what defines us and gives us strength at the end of the day. And rather than trying to live with those demons, we should be actively working to get rid of them. And from a military point of view, or military enthusiast point of view, again, it's looking into history, realizing the sacrifices people made for our freedoms and the sacrifices that people made full stop, and learning to reconcile with them. I think that covers it. Happy Halloween.